And we're live.
Hey, hi, Dieter. Hi, everybody out there. Welcome. It's Capt Ron and Dieter Staudinger here with this week's episode of Fearless Flight Live. And rather than me stumble around, I'm just going to go get right into it and start the show. It's helps me get organized. So, and then of course my slides disappear. Okay.
There we
Uh,
go.
and my mug up there so I can see. Okay, welcome everybody. This is this week's episode of Fearless Flight Live, our weekly show on Facebook. That's for you if you're afraid to fly, or you if you know somebody's afraid to fly, or if you just want to join us and you're fascinated with airplanes and flying. We do a lot of talk about airplanes. So, welcome. First thing, we always remember that our Facebook group, private Facebook group called Birds of a Feather. This is a group for people just like you who have elected to sign up, leave a message, engage with other members of the group, and we get lots of positive feedback with that. It's just a place to hang out with people who really get you. And because that's one of the problems with fear of flying is that people don't feel that other people around them, especially the people that love them, understand what they're going through. Tonight, we have a special guest once again, and I'll give a little more information on her when we get closer. We're going to talk about the June live monthly group coaching session on June 19th this month. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the remarks, either live if you're watching right now, or if you're watching the replay, because they come to us and we'd love to hear from you. And this is going to be this month's live group coaching webinar. And the topic, I think, is going to be interesting because it's about the aerospace. You know, there's been a lot on the airspace. As a matter of fact, I just saw an article again today about the concerns over the obsolete type of equipment they have, talking about some of the controllers or some of the resources, the computers they have still use floppy disk, if you can believe that. That was
When I read that
mind-boggling for me.
wrong, I was like, okay, I'm
Ah,
not so sure if I'm. But then I will also say that the finer part of this is that the floppy disks aren't exactly for the live operations, right? So
yeah, yeah.
they're
It's where they
tied into the
store.
system,
Yeah,
but
but
it's not as
nonetheless, it
bad as
is.
it sounds.
Yeah, it is disconcerting. It's like walking up to the airplane and and it's something out of Orville and Wilbur's garage, something like that. At least conceptually. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk a lot more in depth than I've ever done. We're talking about what are the sectors they're talking about, that they want to cut the number of sectors in the airspace, and so unless you have some kind of understanding, that it wouldn't have any meaning for you. And we're going to just give you a lot of good information, I hope. So this next Thursday, a week from this Thursday night, June 19th at 6:30 p.m. We're just going to have the one this week or this month on Thursday night. Uh, we're gonna have you or to try to present to you what the new or facts about the airspace that keeps you safe. Talk about the role of pilots and air traffic controllers, how we interact, and we'll try to give you some understandings on terms like IFR versus VFR. It doesn't mean much to a non-pilot, but to a pilot, it's really significant because it invokes a whole new set of rules, whether you're IFR or VFR. And ARTC is the Air Route Traffic Control Center. And that's in Washington, D.C. There are 12, I think 12 sectors around the country, and we'll explain how those work. We'll talk about recent incidents and give you some facts about that. And hopefully you'll walk away with the knowledge to reduce any anxiety you have related to that, or at least feel a little bit greater level of comfort. So again, it's next Thursday, June 19th, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Myself and Dieter live, and it's our monthly group coaching webinar. And you can sign up here at this, and Dieter usually posts that in the web as well.
I will. And Ron, let me answer. If you just go back to
Yeah,
the last slide, there was a question. So no, the monthly group coaching webinar is not the same as this live show. So the live show, we interview people, we have some presentations, we talk about current events, but the monthly group coaching webinar is really much more of a deep dive. It's not so much just to satisfy the insatiable part of our mind that always wants to know things. It's actually going a little deeper, where you will be able to change the way you think about flying, and paradoxically, it's not necessarily thinking that will change it. So more knowledge isn't gonna do it for you. Well, what we need is, we need to activate that part of the brain, and then we need to really have this experiential flow. And that's why the webinars are great, because they're capped. So it's really a small, intimate group, and it's powerful because it allows that interaction. And Ron, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to joke too. We've had people who've gone through the course and become pilots. So we may have people go through this course and want to become air traffic controllers because they're hiring. So it's interesting there. But yeah, we're going to teach you about the it's an interactive session, and we don't just talk about air traffic control. We're going to talk to you all if you have questions. And that is the main purpose. We want to bring you in here and do live coaching for you. So we have people that have questions, and people getting ready to fly. If you're anywhere in the neighborhood of flying in the next 90 days, I'd highly recommend the monthly coaching classes, because it's a real time opportunity for you to talk about some of the issues that you have out there. So please feel free to join us and come and attend the class there. So okay. It's I got the video. If you were here last week, you may have seen this before. I think it's a great video. I got a fellow who does editing for us, and he did a really nice job on this. This is our most recent live our graduation flight, our Clear for Takeoff 301, and I thought we'd show this as a lead-in to our guests coming up here. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video.
Say smile, everybody. How you doing? Everybody smile.
Yeah, I'm rocking out.
Yeah, I know.
It's a great song.
What is it? Here we go, everybody. You're in the group of Fearful Flyers, so there you go. You got the best attitude. So.
I appreciate your help.
What are we knitting?
I'm making a sweater for my 16-year-old.
Cool. Yeah. So, as you remember, it says, supervised Gary Rodriguez successfully slipped the Surly bonds of Earth and is now a certified fearless flight. So we'll just look over there, big grin.
Thanks.
You're getting your water. I don't know if I'm fearless.
Thank you.
Certified fearless flight. Thank you. Congratulations. It's been a joy.
Really? I'm certified now.
You're certified.
Yeah, so excited.
I'm certifiable, but you're certified. Congratulations. And it's so much fun. Thank you so much. Good job. Yeah. Look up here. Yeah. Thank you so much. close here. Thanks. I just said and you did
The terminal rate areas are limited to tickets. Yeah.
Really a pleasure getting in. So look up there and smile. Thanks. So look in here and give me a big look. So we're looking at a pleasure getting to know you. All right. So congratulations. This is one for your dad. And then we'll get Dad over here too, right? Congratulations. He's now certified fearless flyer too. Okay, so we're all live. So we'll come back here and we'll just pretend like we knew what we were doing. Hey everybody did a great job, and we're here at Burbank, back at Burbank. So congratulations, Dave, for everybody here.
Okay, that video, I've seen it a few times now, and I really miss not having been there. Ron, are you back?
Maybe if I unmuted myself and undid that. Yeah.
We saw your mouse. We saw your mouse moving.
Pilot error. Well, what I was saying is I didn't have as many pictures. Mary joined us in Phoenix, as did a couple other folks. And so here she is up there in the little blue circle. And so tonight we're going to talk about her journey. And we've got some questions stuff. So Mary, if you'd like to join us, I'm going to stop all this nonsense and let you come on board. So welcome. It's so fun to have you.
Thank you.
Okay. When you watch the video, do you remember? Yeah, does it bring up any feelings about the flight? What was it like?
You know what? I'm just so super excited that I did it, and it was just so nice to be with a group of people that kind of have some similar feelings about flying. So I just thought it was fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. And how'd you find us? You live in Phoenix here, we're in the area where I live.
You know what? I live in Phoenix, and I have a friend that works for the airlines, and she recommended the program. And I started years ago when you had a course before you started taking folks on the plane. I've been with you 3 times, but I went to 2 of the classes also prior to that. So this is a long time coming.
Okay, well, I'm sure glad you did it because you're a lot of fun. You're just such a sweet person, and I happen to know that you are a school principal. I said you're not like any of the principals that I had. So. At least what I said there. So when did you first notice your anxiety?
You know what? I used to fly everywhere. I'd flown to Europe. I was on the track team in college. I flew all over the country. But after I had my kids, I was a little more anxious about things. So that's a common thing that women report sometimes is when they experience having kids and stuff, it flares up like that. And I think I've said this before, but one of the craziest things is it's one thing when people have an anxiety about flying, but it's another when they flew without any problems, and then all of a sudden it pops up. Yeah, it must be very confusing. And hard to understand.
Yeah. And what was how did it affect your life in terms of, flying? Did you still fly, or did you quit flying, or?
No, for a period of time I stopped, and it affected me in so many ways. I have a son that played college baseball, and I missed some of that. It did affect me. I just feel like I missed out on a lot.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you went with us again. What were the steps that you took as you decided? You mentioned the classes and things like that, and what were the things that you did that other people might identify with, or maybe didn't know about, that you felt were the most helpful for you to get to this point?
You know what? Those courses that I took through you, and then I also I used that Headspace app, and so I started doing that about 2 years ago, just. To kind of to work on my breathing and meditating and things like that. Yeah.
I may do a custom visualization for you because I'd like to just get your feedback on that, whether that helps. I'm a Headspace user as well. So when we finally got to the class, what was like? You didn't have the benefit of me being around you to annoy you like I did for the Burbank people, because we flew to Phoenix first and then we picked you all up. Right. What was it like when you got to the airport and got to the gate there by yourself?
you know what, I have to tell you, it was exciting. It was, I saw everybody bustling around, and it was exciting. I was excited to do it. I was excited.
So exciting in a positive way, not at the other end of this continuum where it's terrifying stuff.
No, and you know what, I felt safe because I knew you were right behind me, and everybody else was kind of feeling something similar to what I felt before.
Yeah. And when this time was different because we had a group of people who had just flown for their first time as well over here. Did you, and I think you were one that interacted with one of the people, at least one, when we were waiting there to get to board the airplane to go back.
Right. And there were, you know what, there were two very nice ladies sitting right next to me, and they had on their phone, they could tell how many more miles we had to go. Or
they had the flight progress.
Yeah. And so it was interesting because they kept kind of nudging me and, diverting.
I got to remember that because I failed to brief everybody on putting the app on your phone. And we talked about putting the app on there, but I didn't brief everybody about once you get on the airplane, make sure you log in, and because everybody can have that. Most of the airlines now have Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, and you can get their entertainment, and you can also text to people like that. So
and one gal had a book of crossword puzzles, and I had a book on tape that I and and that's my experience over the years of learning from people like you, is that audio seems to be one of the best helpers for a lot of people, because you don't have to actually construct sentences and words and meditation itself. You can have somebody do it for you. So what was it? Was there a time that was more meaningful or better for you than the other? I mean, the landing maybe, or what was it like?
No, you know what? I was going to listen to the book on tape, and then actually when I started flying, I made myself look out the window. Yeah. To see how and I made myself, because my thing was I didn't want to. I just feel sometimes like it's a little claustrophobic. So I made myself watch when the flight attendant shut the door. And I don't know, once, like you had said, it's going to take a little while to get up, and then you'll fly, your plane will level out, and then you go down again. And it did seem like all of a sudden we leveled out, and the next thing you know, we were going down already.
It does seem to go faster, even than the real clock shows there and whatnot there. So, so when you were flying over there, did you have any moments, that were particularly stressful or anything, or was it just kind of an easy going trip?
You know what? It was an easy going trip. I think just again having the group with me and knowing, I kept thinking, well, you know what? Surely Capt Ron has, I mean, if something comes up, he's dealt with people like me before. I just felt really comfortable. I felt very comfortable.
The longer you talk, the more people are turning you off because they're saying, well, she really wasn't afraid to fly. So what would you say to those people that are listening to you now? And you look quite together, actually.
Yes. You know what? For years, it took me years to get to this point. It took me a long time to get to this point. And I think part of it is my son they just had twins, and they're in Michigan. And it was a couple months ago that I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make myself do it. And I did it. It was good. Yeah, it was good.
That's awesome. And obviously, it's changed your view of flying. Have you noticed any other changes in your life, around fear or any other things in your life that, it's probably pretty soon for that, but.
I mean, I just feel like I'm going to I have to make myself do this, because I flew years ago, and then I was okay, but I didn't do it again. Like you said, it's like you got to keep getting back up on the horse and going. So I scheduled a flight in 2 weeks. And once I do that, I'm just going to try to keep doing it.
Yeah. And, I ask people if what roles maybe like the sense of community with other people, or coaching or breathing or the harmonizer or things like that played. But I think it's harder on the flights because the community probably plays the biggest role, when you say, than actually having to do things. And the challenges, probably there's more challenges when you fly the next time by yourself and stuff. Right. And I want you to know, feel free to contact me anytime, that you need to, if you if you need a little support or anything like that. But to me, the thing that always stands out is people like you, when they show up and you see other people, it seems to be relaxing in and of itself to see other people that are tense.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much interaction he had with a fellow named Chris, and he had his girlfriend and his son there. And but you know, certainly in San Diego, in Burbank, when everybody gets there, I mean, the first person that gets there is like, oh my God, they're like getting ready to bail and go on. And then other people start showing up and they say, well, I'm freaking out too. And then as soon as people start connecting with each other, you can see a little bit of calm come over them. And it's the coolest thing about doing this that I've done. And it's what inspires me, just to see people like you be so successful. So you talked about your son living back in Michigan. What's next, and what are your future plans?
You know what? To go to Michigan in 2 weeks, I hope. I'm ready. I made the reservations, and we're going to go for 5 nights. Yeah, and I mean, you know, I do have those thoughts. Oh my gosh, what if I get over there and it's been bad? How am I getting back? But I'm going to do it. I'm making myself do it.
Yeah. Did you, and everybody has the experience of flying one leg when we do the class and then flying back. Can you describe what it was like when you were sitting there waiting, whatever anxiety you had, and then waiting to board the flight coming back to Phoenix? Because we had a bit of a delay over there. We sat there for over 3 hours. So,
but you know what happened with me is you said we're not getting on the next flight till 4:30.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
But you know, I thought I can't wait here for 3 hours because all I'm thinking about is getting back on the plane. So I went over to the Southwest agent and I said, when's the next flight? And she said, we're boarding in 10 minutes. And I said, put me on it. Because I thought I can't wait and think about this for 3 hours. And so I jumped on the plane. And
that's right. I forgot. You and I had that conversation. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. It's just the whole thing of just doing it. Just making yourself do it.
Yeah. And that's generally the attitude is people, you know, in contrast to the first leg where you're more anxious, the second one is let me go. Let me get after it and do that. So just a personal note, did they, because they have the right to, you know, I don't know when you bought the ticket, what the fare price was. Did they charge you the difference of the increased fare price when they let you on the flight going home?
I was using my points.
Okay. So cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I think I did get charged, but I don't even know how to figure out my points. But I think
Well, the reason I ask is because when I went up and asked the lady, by the time I did it and said, you know what, and I can't leave anybody behind, so I didn't want to just fly back. Right. And so I went up and asked them, and they said, and we'll just waive your points. So you might even waive the increase in charge. So you might ask them about it just for fun, saying, hey, any chance that we could do that because this is what we're doing. I'm always bargaining and stuff like that. So anyway, well, the last question they had formally is that people listening, what would you say to somebody, you know, from where you were to where you are today? What would you say to people out there, you know, that like, I don't think I can do this?
You just have to do it. You just, I can't even, and I think the motivation for me again was my son, and I'm getting ready to retire. And I thought, I've just got to do it. And I kept waiting for, because you did another one a couple, 2 or 3 months back, and I wasn't ready then to do it.
Yeah.
Like this time, I'm just going to, you know, and then you sit down in the chair and you think, oh, I don't really want to do it. He did tell me that people have jumped off the plane before, and I thought, but no, I'm going to do it. And then I'm just so thankful for your group and for all of you folks.
Well, I'm really proud of you. You should feel absolutely ecstatic about the courage. You know, if you'd have told me 37 years ago, I'd still be doing this today. I'd have said you're nuts, but it is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life. And people like you, it's just so fulfilling to see people be happy and be able to do that. So I want to congratulate you on that. So thanks a lot for doing that. Thanks for coming on tonight and sharing.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Let me see if Dieter's got any people. Sometimes we get a lot of stuff, a lot of balloons, a lot of kudos and stuff. And I want to get you to get all that love that they pass on there. But if Dieter's got any questions, we'll ask him to come on and share this.
There were a lot of hearts and a lot of thumbs up, so people can totally relate. With regards to I think you mentioned that, but can you just clarify what exactly, because we do have people that watch us, and so they use the words that we describe. So what, I think your trigger was claustrophobia, is that correct? Is that one of them?
My thing wasn't, because I know when we were flying and the two ladies that were next to me, we hit a little turbulence, and that's not me. Mine is more when I got on that plane and they shut the doors, I kept thinking, I'm going to tell them to open up the door. I'm going to tell them to open up the door. But I didn't, because I knew people were behind me, and if everybody else can do it and they shut the doors on everybody else, I'm just going to sit here. But that's my trick here. Is that I'm stuck on the
feeling trapped is probably at least 2/3 of the people out there now. It's more about the feeling trapped than it is any concern about the safety of the flight or anything like that. What else, Dieter?
Yeah, and the other question was, you said it took you a long time. So the question is, how long from the time that you realized that you were afraid to fly, to now? Like, what was your process over time, and would you recommend other programs? Because I guess the person isn't local, so she said I can't fly with you guys, but would you still recommend other things that you have experienced that
that heads, it has taken me a long time. It may look like this was it has taken me a long time. I mean, my son is 34. And I started feeling it after he was born. I was just a little cautious about things. But that Headspace app was fantastic. And I've been doing it since he moved 2.5 years ago. I started doing that Headspace app every day, knowing that at some point it's hard for him to get back here because he's got a house full of kiddos.
Sure.
So I would have to go there. And so he was my motivator.
Yeah. Can I just say that we find that a lot, your why, right? Like, what is the why? You said it's 34 years, but really in the last 2 years, you were so much more focused.
Yes.
Yes. Right. And okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, be kind to yourself. And I've said that to the class, because we are so self-critical, generally speaking, of ourselves, and we blame ourselves because we can't get on an airplane or something like that. And it's really a basic function of being human. When you have a concern, you pay attention to that. And it just so happens that this doesn't have a root in reality for most of the things that people are worried about.
No, and I remember when Gary was on, I think last week, and he was the firefighter, and how he can run in and do it.
Yeah.
But and with me, I could get up and speak in front of 1,000 people. It doesn't bother me at all.
Right.
But the plane, I don't know what it was, but I just feel like I've faced it, and I'm feeling so much.
Well, congratulations again, Mary. I'm so happy.
You.
And again, thanks for coming on. You can stay with us here. I'm just going to say one other final word because I had
before we move on, this was a great segue from Mary there. Gary actually wants to be known as Flyboy from now on. Right on, Gary.
Yeah, keep up the good work. And oops, let me go back. I wanted to say one last thing. Come on, what happened to there we go. We went to I had my monthly class at the airport last Saturday night, and I had 3 people that came and they did not have a real ID. And that has become a mandatory thing now in the country. And just for edification, what we did, I first said to them, well, I don't think we're going to be able to go through security. And I do part of the class in the unsecure area there out in front of the TSA. But anyway, so we got to there, and then I thought, I'll at least ask. I'll take them up to the TSA, and we'll get the correct answer on this. And so when we went up there, what we found is they are accommodating. I can't say that they'll do this if you happen to be flying and you go there without a real ID or a passport or something like that. But for people who do that, or who end up in that scenario, one of the things is that they didn't have a passport or anything else. Some of the other forms of that kind of identification, but what they did do is they took them through, they screened them, they patted them down basically, and then they gave them a card that said no real ID, so that they could track them through the airport there. So they were able to do that. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to reemphasize, you need a real ID from your state's motor vehicle division. You can use a passport, a valid US passport, or a passport card. Sometimes people get the passport cards there. But the real ID is the easiest one. If you happen to be in the Department of Defense, you can use a Defense Department ID. You can use a DHS, Department of Homeland Security Trusted Traveler card. That's like Global Entry, Nexus, Century, or FAST. I know about Global Entry because I have one of those. I don't know about the other ones there. You can use a permanent resident card, and if you're a Native American, you can use a federally recognized tribal issued photo ID. So those are some of the things you can do, but the easiest by far is to get a real ID if you can do that. So I wanted to make sure.
Cheryl, you may remember her, Ron. She said, we were two of those people with no real ID. Thank you for getting us on.
Yeah, thanks. And I'm so glad we could get everybody in through that. So, because what a disappointment. I came, I think I may have mentioned about a year ago, I had a fellow who hadn't flown in 20 some years. And he had decided he wanted to visit his sister in California. So he was taking a train from Illinois across. And if you've ever done that, that's quite a grueling trip in and of itself. And he had to then go to Flagstaff, stop at Flagstaff, get off. He came down, he heard about the class. So he came down to the class here. And when he got here, they had him misidentified as on the no-fly list. And so now what we know, so I took him up the problem shows up because for the classes we do here in Phoenix, if you're on that no-fly list, you won't even appear for Southwest to get an escort pass to get through security. And at that time, we went up to the TSA and tried to do it, and nobody knew anything about it. So in the meantime, 2 classes ago, we had another person who showed up on that, and it turns out he had the same first and last name it was Hispanic. It was fairly common. And what they did was then they pulled up his middle name, and that allowed them to rectify that problem. So anyway, if you've not flown in a long time, you might want to go out to the airport and just check and make sure you can get through security there, because it would be very disappointing, especially if you're going to Europe or something like that. So anyway, okay. Any other questions, Dieter, or anything?
No, other than there was a question. Will there be another airport class in July? And I don't think so, right? We're
not at the Phoenix
July,
airport,
but not August.
No, none. We don't hold them in July and August typically because people have already made their vacation plans. And when we will resume in Phoenix in September, and our friends over our friend Talat over at the Air Hollywood Studios in Valencia, north of Burbank, there. He's moving once again his studio, and he's going to be there in July. But so I was actually thinking about having another class over there. But we don't know enough about that, and as soon as we do, we'll pass that out to you. Pass that information along when the next year. But the class is in Phoenix.
August, maybe in
possibly August in Southern California, and then in July we'll resume here until the rest of the year for the local Phoenix classes there. And
in September, September we'll resume.
Yeah. Yes, September. I'm sorry. September. And behind the scenes, It means nothing to anybody but Dieter and I, but we are really, Dieter is all over trying to completely reform or make over our website with a new platform. That's a technical term for making it easier for you to do things, for you to get information. And we got some big changes, and probably by the end of the summer, we should see that in work too. So I thank Dieter every time about doing this. And we've got a really cool survey that I'll call it a survey right now, that we're going to let everybody try out when we get it going there. So anyway, thanks again, everybody. Thanks again, Mary, for joining us tonight. I really appreciate you and the courage to not only get over your fear of flying, but to come and share it with the other people. Dieter, as always, thanks a lot for your help and support. And thanks to all of you out there for watching us every week. We appreciate it. And so we'll see you again, hopefully next week, Fearless Flight Live. And thanks. Let everybody else know that we're